Stand with me, you know, you by my fantasy. Alright, we're gonna get this started in a second, bro. We got that built, like, hold on. This is frying me, bro. Let me see. I gotta make sure everything running good. I should have ran a test stream before I switched. You know what I'm saying? Alright. Alright, bet. We straight. I low-key should have ran a test stream before, for real. But it's alright, man. Look, it's gonna get the job done, bro. As long as it get the job done, I'm straight. Look, I think I need to fucking. I think I want to monitor this shit over here now. So let me set that up real quick. Shit. Let me set that up real quick. Beat this over here. Alright. Let me slide this on the side for real, and then we straight. Let me make this. Hold on, my fucking stream quality ass. What the fuck is we doing? I might have to fix that shit later. We gonna sit there and freaking make sure we get this shit figured out first. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna make sure we got everything figured out later. Cause I ended up switching from OBS, from Streamlabs to OBS for real. So I wanna see. Alright. Why the fuck is we taking so long? Troubleshoot issues of hell. We straight down. Alright. As long as I know that my what's the name not streaming, is it's not lagging. Then we straight. I don't know why my PC hitting a Dougie though, nigga. What the fuck is going on? Connect that there. Oh, that's just streaming. Alright. That's just streaming. Alright. All right, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? All right, we're gonna talk about this movie because I got really big gripes with this movie coming up for him. So I really just wanna, I really just wanna get this like started, and you know, there was a lot of shit that I really disliked about the movie. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Um, there were some good things, but there was a lot of fucking bad. And I genuinely hate the MCU right now. Because they know they can't make no real money. Um, actually making a fucking storyline. So they just gotta put a whole bunch of fan favorites in a movie and just call that shit a movie. And personally I'm not fucking with it. So alright, so we're gonna talk about we really just gonna get this out the way and talk about this for a second. So, all right, let's get to this first part, bro. Let's talk about the actual problem of the. Let's talk about the actual problem and the conflict of the movie entirety. Jean Grey. Why is she age regressed? First of all, why is Jean Grey younger than Peter Parker? We have to stop age regressing, bro. If the whole point of the MCU is running out of characters and everybody's getting older and we don't know who to put up next, bro, and y'all wanted to switch to the mutants, y'all could have kept the regular mutants the same age as they possibly been because they didn't have no screen time to begin with. If y'all was really worried about casting and stuff like that with the older mutants and the younger mutants and stuff like that, you know we could have had an X-Men movie, around magic. Fucking Ileana, she's been a very popular character recently. Or we could have had Jubilee. Or Kitty Pryde, right? And if the woman is too much, you already know with the misogynist and the back and shit like that, bro. We could have gave Sunspot. You feel me? We could have gave Sunspot some love, bro. And that'd be the problem with the MCU, bro. They don't want to take the younger generation a chance. They just want to freaking keep on age regressing people and just put a whole bunch of fan favorites in a movie and call that fucking cinema. It's not, bro. It's really bad. It's really poor. Like, why is the main premise of the movie, the main conflict of the movie, being Jean Grey, a raging teenager? She's not even a Spider-Man villain. Why is she the main conflict of the damn the movie, bro? It don't make sense. Not to mention that she's like 16 years old. She just found out that she had powers and shit. Like, it literally doesn't make sense, bro. Like, if we really wanted to go that route, we could have put another fucking telepath in, bro. Like, if we really wanted to go that route, maybe we could have did Psylocke, right? Psylocke hasn't had any representation in freaking live action so far. Could have went Psylocke, bro. But we just gotta age regress fan favorite characters to keep them relevant, and that's really bad. That's really poor writing, and I really hate that for Sony, especially because there's no way that you're gonna use Jean Grey in a Spider-Man movie, right, and age regress her to hell to turn around and put her in a goddamn Wolverine game with his main love interest being fucking Jean Grey. Y'all some sick motherfuckers, bro. Y'all some weirdos, bro. Like, he 200 years old. He shouldn't even be sipping over Jean anyway. But we just gotta keep on recycling the same bullshit instead of getting other characters a chance to grow and develop. Like, the X-Men literally don't have any MCU representation. right? Outside of the animated series X-Men '97, which has been really great so far, right? It's been killing it, right? But if the problem is that, oh, people are not watching these films because of the main characters and stuff not being, you know, properly represented, right? Um, why age regressor? It just seems so fucking backwards. It just seems it's so stupid and redundant, dog. It don't make sense. But we're gonna get off Gene for a second, man. We're probably gonna come back to that shit because that shit Gene really blew me. So, all right, let's talk about the hand, bro. The hand literally had no purpose in this movie. The hand literally had no purpose in this movie, dog. Like, I'm so serious. The hand literally had no purpose. What was the point of even bringing the hand into a Spider-Man movie without Daredevil? We have Punisher, right? That already can't do anything because it's a PG-13 movie. There's only so much you can do with Punisher being in a PG-13 film, right? But the hand is literally Daredevil's like main thing outside of Kingpin. So, but we already know he in jail. So what is the point of bringing them into a Spider-Man movie? Because one, they were irrelevant. They were freaking ninja grunts in the back. You feel me? They were supposed to be used as fodder, right? But not only that, Elektra's not even there. So what was the point of the hand? Like, and most people don't even know what the hand is. You think the random niggas in the fucking Spider-Man movie that came out watched this shit, bro? They saw them red ninjas, was like, who the fuck is that? They was probably thinking, no, these fake ass fucking Ninja Turtle Foot Clan niggas. That's what they was probably thinking. They don't know what the hand is because y'all never properly introduced them. But y'all gonna introduce them into a Spider-Man movie without Electro, right? And then without introducing Daredevil. It don't make sense. They literally served no purpose in this movie, dog. Let's go to this next point, right? The Man Spider storyline. I genuinely hated this part of the movie so bad because I understand why they put the Man Spider storyline into the game or into the movie, but what was the purpose if we didn't fully, actually incorporate all of the transformation? You know what I'm saying? They just wanted an excuse to give him organic webs. And that's cool and all, but if you're going to do that, you have to go all in. Why do we have to half-ass this storyline and fucking sit there and guilt freaking sorry. Why do we have to freaking keep on pump faking? Why do we have to sit there and pump fake the damn Man Spider the whole fucking movie? And we not gonna go all the way. It don't make sense. Like, what was the point of bringing the storyline into the movie if we're not gonna go the full direction? Because it's literally just a cop out. This storyline is literally just a cop out for him to make the inhibitor chip that introduces Oliver Trask, right, for the mutants, for because y'all age regressing all the mutants down for whatever reason, so y'all can get the freaking storyline going, so the mutants can carry y'all MCU, right? So that was his only purpose. This was the Man Spider's only purpose: to freaking introduce the inhibitor collars and fucking give him organic webs. And I feel like there's such a better way to freaking write that into the story without this half-ass cop out. Because I feel like if you was gonna do this Man Spider storyline, you had to go all the way, right? But the problem is with this movie, they put like 4 or 5 different storylines into the what's the name? It didn't complete a single one. It's fucking stupid. Um, all right, next. Right. All right, let's talk about yo, I ain't gonna lie, gang. Yo, Gene would had to see me, bro. Gene would had to see me, bro. Let's just say if Gene did this to me, you know what I'm saying? Let's break this down for a second, right? You know, the universe gets reset, bro. He obviously avoided MJ and shit like that, bro. But he obviously want to see her. He just want to keep her safe. But he gotta love her from a distance, bro. He find out she already getting targeted, so he come out. He hauling ass. He finally get to her, bro. He thinking everything fine, bro. Everything fine and dandy. All of a sudden, you know, all of a sudden, Gene was in there the whole time. Gave this nigga a kiss. Fucking said, man, I seen when she liked you. And it jumped off that shit, bro. I ain't gonna lie. If you hit me with that psych trauma, with my love, with the love of my life, bro. Let's just say Gene gonna need the Phoenix Force early, gang. Let's just say Gene gonna need the Phoenix Force early because I don't play that shit. You're not gonna play with my emotions in my face like that, bro. I think you gonna walk away scot free, bro. You lucky he's such a good guy, dog. So, all right. Next point, right? All right. So um this is another reason why I just say like, MCU, Sony and all them, they just put a whole bunch of fan favorites into the movies and the stuff and just call that shit a banger. They call that shit cinema, bro. Cause realistically, there was no reason for Punisher to be in this movie. He can't do much, because it's a PG-13 movie, it's a Spider-Man movie, so obviously he gonna have to be a lot more reserved and stuff. He's gonna act like a big mentor figure to Spider-Man, but he's also, what I'm saying, um, he's still Frank at the end of the day. But Frank did pretty much nothing outside of shooting at the Hulk, which doesn't work, right? And getting mind controlled and being comic relief, right? So, and that's why I say, like, they have to understand, they have to pick and choose when they introduce these types of characters and stuff like that, because there's literally no reason for Frank to be in this movie, right? Outside of the last part. You feel me? Just to give us suspense, to make it seem like Spider-Man was gonna die when we know he's not gonna die, bro. Let's be serious. There was literally no point of Frank being here, dog. So it that part, it was really frustrating to me. I really feel as though if we really wanted to make a good Spider-Man movie incorporating Frank Castle, it should have been Spider-Man, Daredevil, and Frank versus the Hand with Elektra, right? That would have been such a way better movie than introducing Jean Grey of all people, right? Who is younger than Spider-Man for whatever reason. It's just so off, right? So let's go here. Let's talk about the Hulk, right? They've been pump faking. You know what I'm saying? They've been jam stepping. They've been, what I'm saying, they've been triple threat ready, bro. They've been sitting over there pump faking this Savage Hulk for decades, bro. For us to only get like 4 minutes of them, dog. They literally only put him in for the fan service, bro. And that's the frustrating part. Because Bruce got hoed. Got hoed. He the only nigga that got hit with the psych ward, bro. Gene got to walk away scot-free, right? But my nigga Bruce Banner, he lost his job, he lost his freaking mind, and now he in a psych ward. So we just hold this nigga for no reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, the only reason that he was in this movie in the first place is to build up, oh my gosh, Savage Hulk, yay, and it disappears. It's so frustrating. Like, we should be using our fan favorite characters a lot more, you know, a lot better to push a storyline further, right? Outside of, just him just being a mind control for the whole time, and then, snapping. You know, why couldn't he snap against Thanos? Like, they pick and choose when to have these moments, and it never works out because it just fan service like bullshit, and it doesn't actually drive a narrative story further. It's just there to be like, oh yeah, here nigga, damn. And that's what I hate about it. Like, this was a poor use of this goddamn character here. We could have had so much more with this damn Hulk here, outside of, him being mind controlled and then him going on the temper tantrum because he lost his mind, right? But some niggas not gonna see it that way, bro. Um, all in all, though, I do give this movie like it's not a bad watch. Like, I give it a fucking like 7. I'll give it a 7 for real, because it's not a bad watch. Obviously, you're gonna have your fan favorites in there. You got your fan service. You know what I'm saying? Um, it feels like a Spider-Man movie with the trials and tribulations. Um, it has a Spider-Man feel, but at the same time, or I also praise this about it, like a lot of the shots and stuff like that is aesthetically pleasing. I feel like the choreography with Spider-Man fights or whatever has always been aesthetically pleasing and beautiful. So, I'll give that a bump up, right? But the actual story and the narrative that drives it forward is so odd to me. And the fact that they're age regressing all of the mutants so that the mutants carry the MCU for the next 20 odd years is so odd, because they already didn't have representation in the first place. So we could have just kept them the same fucking age and not messing up timelines and shit like that, and just introduced the new characters. We could have had a Cable movie, right? We could have talked about Nathan Summers, right? We could have had a Cable movie. We could have redid Age of Apocalypse like X-Men 97 is doing. We could have had a freaking live action version of it, right? But instead, we just want to age regress all of the characters so then we can have all of the storylines now. And that's the real frustrating part about it. We're derivating from the actual, you know, real comic book iteration of the characters to fit the MCU narrative. And it's like it's so frustrating because it usually never fucking works. Like, you know, people going into a Spider-Man movie and seeing Jean Grey, they're like, most Spider-Man niggas not even gonna know who Jean Grey is, bro. So they sitting over there like, who the fuck is this? Whole time, right? And I thought the entire purpose of putting Jean Grey in the movie was to have her set up to meet Charles Xavier, since we age regressed her. But that didn't even fucking happen. She just hopped on a bus and dipped off. We don't know what happened to her. That's what I'm saying. It's just bad. It's just really bad writing, for real. And that's what I don't like. But I mean, choreography was good. Obviously, the hand fights is good or whatever. Even though they was used as grunts, for the remainder of the what's the name, like, it was actually a good fight. I just don't like the fact that they was used as grunts, for real. Like, that shit genuinely bothered me. I'm not gonna lie to you, because the fucking, like, there's so much more than that. There's so much more than just grunts, bro. So I'm pretty frustrated by that as well. But Yeah. We're gonna switch gears for a second, and we're gonna switch gears for a second, and we're gonna the fuck is streamer games? Yeah, we're gonna watch this Blank Boy video, bro. See what he got to talk about with this MCU shit. Right. Let's hit this here. Just want to see what he talk about this MCU shit, bro.
Someone fainted.
God damn it. All right, LeBron.
Someone fainted at my Spider-Man-Brand New Day screening. The MCU is back. Now, the MCU has been making people pass out as of recently, but in those cases, it was a different type of passing out. Some people are lower on this movie.
Go look at this. Is it better than Spider-Man Homecoming? I do not think it is better than Spider-Man Homecoming, but I am very high on that movie.
But
yo, what the fuck is going on?
Most people per reviews are ridiculously high on this movie, and I'm here to give my thoughts on it. Is it the best Spider-Man movie since Spider-Man 2? Is it the best Spider-Man movie of all time? Well, no. I'd say it's... We'll get to where I'd rank the Spider-Man movie amongst the others and my rating out of 10 at the end. But first, let's get into the review. The first half will be spoiler-free for my people who touch grass and got jobs and stuff who haven't seen the movie yet. And the second half will have spoilers for people who've seen the movie already and for those who haven't seen the movie but don't care to be spoiled. I'll let you know when it's spoiler time though. And don't worry, I will be covering this movie fully when it drops digitally. I just had to get my thoughts out now. So starting off with my spoiler-free section of the movie. First thing to mention is yes, Ned Leeds is still obese. And secondly, one of my favorite things about this movie is how it feels like a Spider-Man comic book come to life.
I'll definitely say it definitely feels like a Spider-Man movie. Like, this feels like way too organically a Spider-Man movie for me to like say that this is horrible, right? I understand the premise. I understand like all the elements that we had in this movie have been, yeah, like this is a Spider-Man movie. I should be happy. I should be proud watching this shit. But like, I was really frustrated with a lot of the depictions and the age regressions and the use of the hand in this movie is literally the biggest downfall that I have, because we could have made the hand the main overarching villain in this shit. There was no point of even putting in Jean Grey, right? For her not even to meet Charles Xavier. There was no point of age regressing Jean Grey if we're not even going to let her meet Charles Xavier. There was no point of Spider-Man having the Man-Spider transformation if he wasn't going to go all the way. The only reason that they did any of this in the first place is to set up the inhibitor collars for Oliver Trask, right? And to give Spider-Man organic webs, right? That is the only reason those two bum-ass storylines in this movie even clash together. But we could have had way more potential if we had Spider-Man, Punisher, and Daredevil versus the Hand. It would have properly introduced the Hand as a formidable team, as a formidable ninja group from Kunlun in the MCU, right? Instead, we just used them as background grunts, and Elektra's not even there. So at that point, it just seems pointless.
Felt like a comic book where Spider-Man can just pop up and see different heroes because they all reside in the same world. In the comics, Captain America could get a call to pull up somewhere and Daredevil's already there, solving it poorly because he's a trash hero. And I think that's dope. This movie's world building, where Spider Man is interacting with so many different characters, is fire. Characters enter the movie, serve their purpose, have amazing interactions with Peter, and then dip. No one overstayed their welcome. There was a lot of concern before the movie came out that the movie may be too overstuffed with characters, and in the end, it would just be a big mess, like Spider Man 3, where you got 18 different villains and the fact that Mary Jane can't sing. Or in TASM 2, with 45 different plot points happening, and nothing gets developed. We just supposed to believe Electro became bad because he's a short bus rider. Like, okay, bro. But that wasn't the case at all here. There are a small group of people who are complaining that it's overstuffed, but that doesn't make any sense to me. Every character, like I said, served a purpose and dipped. It felt like a comic book. Alex Coleman said it better than I ever could. Punisher is there for Pete's isolation. Hulk is there because Pete is fighting inner demons. MJ and Ned are there to show sacrifice. Yelena is there because she's felt the same thing that Peter's felt. And Sadie Sink's character aligns with Peter's arc. Everything.
Okay. So my part with that is they're forcing it. We don't need all of that to make a good Spider-Man movie. Like, if we really wanted to have the storytelling of the Spider-Man movie and stuff like that, Jean Grey shouldn't have been an overarching antagonist, right? The only reason they age regressed Jean Grey in the first place is to kickstart the MCU's new edition with the young X-Men, right? But it already doesn't make sense because Jean shouldn't even be younger than Spider-Man in the first place. We could have had a whole different movie, you know, talking about the X-Men origins and stuff like that that people would fucking watch, right? But we put her in a Spider-Man movie because we're like, oh my gosh, bro, Spider-Man is going to get so much traction. We need to introduce Jean as a character, right? But then don't even mention Charles Xavier. So at that point, it's pointless because the people watching Spider-Man don't know who the fuck Jean Grey is. Like 60% of them niggas don't even know who Jean Grey is. I had niggas sitting next to me talking the whole time, talking about who the fuck is that? So putting her in this movie did nothing. It served no purpose, right? It served no purpose. We just had to, oh, she's like me. Oh, I'm like you, right? Get organic webs, make the inhibitor collar for Oliver Trask by accident, right? Nah, I can't.
Serves a purpose. Maybe you were worried there would be 87 different villains, but there really isn't. There's only one central focus villain. People like Tombstone has a 5-second scene and didn't get a chance to do Spider-Man like this. Scorpion is used as a tool for the main villain. It's all purposeful. They all bounce off Spider-Man perfectly while they're on screen and never steal the spotlight at all, or well, even try to. If y'all watched my Spider-Man rankings video, you know I'm low on Tom Holland's movies as Spider-Man. 2 of the bottom 3 are Tom Holland movies, and I don't feel like he truly becomes Spider-Man until No Way Home. In No Way Home, that was the first time he felt like he made the ultimate sacrifice like Spider-Man would. And now in this movie, it's an amazing transition from his character going from making the sacrifice to now he's suffering from that sacrifice and finding a healthy way of living with it. Because isolationism for no one is any way to live. It's a great character arc to continue off No Way Home that makes complete sense. This is Tom Holland's best performance as Spider-Man by far. I'd put his performance as Spider-Man in this movie up against any live action Spider-Man from any movie. That's how good he was. His action as Spider-Man is the best I've seen so far. Yes, I think it's better than Spider-Man
Okay.
2's action.
This part I can agree with. Yes, this movie in particular has felt the most Spider-Man-esque movie I've seen in a while. However, Jean Grey being the overarching antagonist will always be so fucking odd to me. And the fact that they age regressed her so that it acts like it would make sense, right? Is so fucking odd. And then the only reason that they thought of incorporating Jean Grey in the first place, right, is because the X-Men are supposed to be the new face of the MCU going into the future, right? After the Avengers Doomsday, we obviously to see the X-Men are going to um be in Avengers Doomsday, right? As their official first MCU debuts. My thing is, we don't have to age regress them, and we don't have to start from their character arcs all the way at the start for them to be interesting characters. We could have started from where they are now. You know what I'm saying? And if y'all wanted to incorporate those past elements, in those movies, we can do that. There was no point of the age regression. The age regression is the only reason they did the age regression because they want to milk this shit for 10, 20 years. And that shit just bothers the hell out of me.
He's hitting niggas with the most insane Spider-Man PS4 finishers, then talking about, chill bro, I don't kill. The swinging scenes and cinematography behind the swinging scenes were beautiful. They weren't quite TASM 2 level, that's like elite, but they were the best Tom Holland has had for sure. John Watts talking about, my advice to the new Brand New Day director, don't do practical swinging, it looks stupid. Man, shut your ass up. I think this movie, of any live action Spider-Man movie, shows how smart Peter Parker is more than they all have ever. Had me looking like these out the theater explaining to niggas how mutation works. I thought I was a genius. And Tom Holland is in New York City in this movie. And the city is so important to the story, like how it should be. We don't need Spider-Man in Washington, D.C. or in Europe. We need Spider-Man in NYC, stopping drill rappers from producing more music, rescuing our ears like the GOAT he is. This is by far the best Spider-Man has ever looked in the MCU visually. In all the other movies, he's either entirely CGI or heavily CGI, and he doesn't really seem tangible at times. But here, that is a guy in a suit, and it looks really good. To think it really took 4 Spider-Man movies to get this. Yo, I'm pissed off again. Never let that nigga John Watts near Spider-Man again. Ban his ass from a 10-mile radius of any MCU set. Spider-Man is in great hands with Destin Danielle Cretton. But now, anything else I want to talk about is gonna require spoilers. So, we're gonna get into the spoiler section. If you have seen the movie, stick around. If you haven't seen it yet but don't care about spoilers, stick around. And if you're clicking off at this point, thanks for messing up my audience retention on YouTube analytics, asshole. JK, I still love you. Alright, let's go. The biggest hidden secret about this movie is Sadie Sink's character, who's of course Jean Grey. The main villain of a Spider-Man movie is Jean Grey, who's of course not a Spider-Man villain typically. And this may seem odd to some people. I've seen that as a critique from some people.
It's odd, nigga. Don't sit there and fucking lie to me, nigga. It's odd. It's odd, bro. The only reason that this even makes sense is because they age regressed her to a raging child. The only other reason that she would be an adversary to Spider-Man is if she was corrupted by the Phoenix, which she doesn't fucking have right now. So, yes, nigga, it's odd. Don't sit there and fucking downplay this shit, nigga. It's fucking odd.
That the main villain isn't a Spider-Man villain, but I think Jean as the villain in this movie works perfectly for this particular story. I like Jean in this story a lot. Obviously, it's a setup to the fact that there are mutants in the MCU and to the X-Men, who we will see at some point. But her and Spider-Man were able to connect emotionally and feel each other's pain and understand each other's lives in a way where, I'm sorry, nigga, Rhino as the main villain just couldn't do so. The one thing this movie has that I think that Tom Holland movies lacked a lot of outside of No Way Home is this movie.
See, my critique is on that, right? We have the Hand. They introduced the Hand as an adversary, right? With Elektra being an interesting character who's also involved with Daredevil, right? We put Punisher in there after one last kill, and we know that Daredevil's in prison. We could have got Daredevil out of prison. You know what I'm saying? Had them suit up and fight the fucking Hand, and I guarantee you that would have been a way better viewing experience, and it would have grounded a lot more um characters between the Hand and Elektra, more stuff with Daredevil, more things with Punisher and stuff like that, than just making Jean Grey be a raging child. It's so fucking odd.
He had so much heart and emotion, which is a big reason why the Raimi movies were so great. And a lot of that heart and emotion stems from Jean, plus her dynamic with Spider-Man, of course. Both isolated, both viewed by the government as potentially dangerous, and lost someone close to them. And in the end, she helps him to understand this about himself because he didn't realize it. And he helps her to understand that she's not alone. I've been trying to do this alone myself, and I can't. Don't make the mistakes I made. She also unintentionally helps him with his mutation issues. In the movie, he's being more animalistic and aggressive, incapable of controlling himself, and her actions and words, while not meaning to, help him to understand that this isn't something that Spider-Man needs to neglect or try to suppress, like he's been doing the whole movie. Because this
Okay, my take on that, right? Okay, I understand the sentiment of Jean being able to help Spider-Man understand um you know not to succumb to his emotions, and having the support system around him is important and stuff like that or whatever, right? The reason that I have a problem with this in the first place is the fact that one, Jean being younger than Peter in any form of media already doesn't make sense, right? But we know that Jean, as she grows older, has seen so much that she has the emotional intelligence to ground people already. So her being older and being a mentor figure to Spider-Man would have made more sense, you know what I'm saying, than her being an adversary. They literally age regressed her to be a raging toddler so that, you know, I guess they both could have character development and, you know, one the inhibitor collar. So then now they can, pivot to Oliver Trask and the Sentinels later down the line, right? And, you know, uh basically a cop out so you can have Tom Holland can have organic webs, right? But if you're gonna do that, you should just let him go all the way. You should have let him lose control, go full man spider, right? And then start regressing back because he understands how much what's the name that he does and stuff like that. If we wanted to even go further, right? He builds a new inhibitor collar, right? Right before he transforms into the man spider, goes ballistic and stuff like that. And Jean ends up having to stop him with the same collar, right? And then he regresses. But then he gets finally is able to understand his control, right? We could have went down that route, but instead we went half on both. And that's what I don't like. It's either go full the whole way in the storyline or just don't do it at all.
Mutation is still him. These mutations are part of him. He's not Spider-Man, he's not Peter Parker, he's both. And once he understands that, he gets an insane power buff and starts kicking more ass. I also find it interesting. Based on this setup, it looks like Spider-Man will be the reason the government has technology to suppress mutant abilities. If I'm Magneto, you gotta see me, little nigga. But to get
Yeah. Man, Nito about to squash this little nigga like a bug, bro. Honestly, I think that's a good I think this is going to be a good reason why Storm actually is going to have a grudge with Spider-Man, because Storm in all types of media already like dislike Spider-Man, and like she doesn't like hate him, but she's like on the fence with him for real. I think when we introduce Storm, right, and she understands that his inhibitor collar for like stuff um um inadvertently creates the Oliver Trask collars and the exterminate mutants and the toleration storyline. Um, I think that that would give motivation for Storm to dislike Spider-Man, which, you know, I think that would be a better character dynamic. Um, you know, but I guess we'll have to see.
Into specific moments of where this movie had so much heart for me, I gotta start with the scene you get of Spider-Man and Ned building Legos together. It's just so heartwarming seeing them being kids doing nerd voices just like they did back in high school when they used to goon together and had no friends. The Peter and MJ scenes are of course very emotional. The scenes where he sees her with another guy and he goes on a swing leaving the party. I feel bad for whoever was the first nigga to see Spider-Man after him witnessing that. He was pissed. And the cinematography on that depressing swing scene is great. A nighttime swing in the rain and perfectly fits how he's feeling in that moment. The scene where he kisses MJ thinking it's her, but it's really Jean Grey controlling her, and he completely lets out all the emotions he's been holding in, how much he's missed her and Ned. The scene where she finds the letter and she confronts him about it, making him reveal himself, and he tells her he loves her, and she says, "Who are these
Yo,
niggas?"
I don't know
She
you.
tells him she doesn't love him straight to his face. She doesn't even know him. The relationship between him and Frank, the big bro, little bro dynamic is so light and fun. His dynamic with Jean is enough to make a grown man cry. She goes into his mind and it's a flashback to Aunt May giving him advice, which speaks directly to Jean because they're the same. He gets shot and then you see the hospital scene of how much he means to the city. And it was just beautiful. On the level of Spider-Man 2 getting carried in the train type of beautiful. At the end of the movie, Peter accepts that he can't do this alone.
All right, so all of these points I do agree with or whatever. I just feel like we didn't need Jean. We didn't need Jean. The only reason Jean is in here is to kickstart the mutants, right? But we could have did something else. Could have did something else, especially because Jean didn't even meet Charles Xavier at the end. She's just on the fucking bus. We just see her traveling, right? She didn't even meet Charles Xavier. So her being in this storyline and doing this cycle with Spider-Man to find her own redemption is like, oh, okay, right? But we don't even, see what happens later. Does she make it to the school for gifted children with Charles Xavier? What happens after? Does she have any ramifications for what she did you know, when she telepathically um debilitated everybody in that 1 kilometer radius? Did she face any ramifications for that? No, she just hopped on a bus, my nigga. And fucking Bruce got hold. That nigga got packed up. He in a psych ward now. You know? So, I,
his arc to the movie full circle. He's like, damn, no wonder that little nigga Naruto was so depressed all the time. And it seems like they're teasing that Ned might remember Peter from before getting his mind wiped by Bill Dr. Strange Cosby. That or he figured out that Peter is Spider-Man. They do kind of leave it ambiguous, but either way, I think that they are telling us that MJ and Ned are here to stay in the Spider-Man movies as Team Spider-Man, and I'm okay with that. I know a lot of people want Spider-Man 100% solo working, but I think the idea of him finding a nice balance between not being Iron Boy Jr. needing others to carry him, and not being 100% alone, having no friends, no family, no hoes, a balance between the two is a good place to have Spider-Man in. Now, where does this movie sit on the Spider-Man pantheon for me? I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I think this is my second favorite Spider-Man movie of all time, right behind Spider-Man 2. But it's close. Maybe this
yikes.
is recency bias.
Yikes. It's definitely recency bias, nigga. Your recency bias is showing. But we understand that, this guy in particular is not a big X-Men fan, so he doesn't understand the issues and the ramifications that I have, especially as an X-Men fan when it comes to, age regressing the characters down to milk them for fucking 20 plus years and shit like that. And, you know, um putting Jean Grey as a fucking antagonist in a Spider-Man movie is just so odd. The only reason that that would make sense for me in my eyes is she was corrupted by the Phoenix Force, but we're not at that point right now. So it was just frustrating to see, especially because we just age regressed her just so we can have the excuse of her being a rampaging fucking child, you know? And the only reason that this even makes sense in the first place is because it kickstarts the Oliver Tracy inhibitor collars and fucking Spider-Man gaining organic webs. But I feel like the Hand versus Punisher, Daredevil, and Spider-Man would have made such a better movie instead of actually putting them into the fucking what's the name, and people like, who the fuck is that? What the fuck is the Hand, right? For them to be some fucking fodder. That was some bullshit, bro. Like, we need some better Hand representation, bro. And I feel like maybe in Daredevil season 3 we get something with Elektra and stuff like that or whatever. But I personally did not like how the Hand was portrayed. I don't like the fact that fucking Jean Grey is 16 fucking years old, especially because Sony then gonna put Jean Grey in a fucking Wolverine game while his 200-year old ass simping over her. You feel me? Niggas is so odd.
Maybe I'm nostalgia biased for even having Spider-Man 2 over it. I don't know. Y'all have your opinions. Y'all let me know. Special shout out to all the channel members. You know, you guys' names gonna be at the end of every video. Shout out to anyone who's watched this far in the video. You get a tease that The Flash is next. Yeah, gaming channel. Make sure y'all check that out.
Flash.
And I'll have an exclusive channel members only video probably this week, maybe the next one. Shout out to all y'all, and have a great day. I'm thinking about doing more of these reviews where movies drops and I don't wait till the digital version to cover the entire movie. I could do like a short review right after it comes out, and then I'll still do the 30-minute video covering the whole movie.
But,
so let me know if you guys like this sort of setup. But peace.
Yeah, all in all, bro, I cannot say it's not bad. I just cannot give it more than a 7 out of 10. That shit genuinely blew me. Okay, Jean Grey's in the fucking movie. Oh my gosh, I'm supposed to be fucking excited? No. Cause one, we age regressed her to a fucking 16-year-old rampaging child, bro. And then she didn't even, by the end of the movie, right? We find we see that she finds solace and stuff like that, and she gains more emotional intelligence. But we don't even see her meet Charles Xavier. So what was the fucking point of even introducing her as a mutant to understand that mutants are in the MCU if we don't even mention Charles Xavier in the school for children, gifted children, right? The perfect thing we could have did, right? She was on that bus, right? And fucking Charles could have telepathically talked to her and be like, I see that you're gifted as well, right? That would have been so much better than us just literally getting nothing with just seeing her on a bus and just travel off. That shit was frying the fuck out of me, dog.
Just got home from Spider-Man-Brand New Day. I have never seen the theater that packed. I genuinely haven't. Not only was the parking lot to the theater full, the parking lot at the business next door was full, and I ended up having to park at a business next door to that business because there was just no spots left. And I got my tickets today, which means the only seats left were front row seats, so I was planted in that swamp-ass throne, staring straight up like I was about to be abducted by aliens. So, that's my fault. I should have anticipated that, but fucking zoinks. Crazy how many people are showing out for Spider-Man. Anyway, is the movie any good? Yeah, I think it's very good.
Okay.
Do I think it's the best Spider-Man movie? Like, right
Fuck
now,
no.
The Glaze is...
Fuck
it's going
no.
nuclear about how it's the best Spider-Man movie ever made, the best
no.
Spider-Man since Spider-Man 2,
Fuck
that kind of thing.
no.
I
It's the
personally
most.
wouldn't go that...
I would say that it is the most Spider-Man feeling Spider-Man movie that we've got recently, right? But it ain't the best Spider-Man fucking movie, especially with your main adversary being Jean Grey being a raging fucking toddler, and we just talk about Damage Control. Damage Control really didn't even do shit. They were just like, oh, the fucking big corporation was the bad guy the whole time. Who could have fucking guessed, right? And you know, Jean keep on hopping out of bodies and fucking switching and injuring people for literally no reason outside of the fact that she wants to save her sister. But there was like so many like covert ways that she could have done that outside of she just wanted to fucking trigger Spider-Man for whatever fucking twisted reason that she had. Um, all that for her to receive no punishment in the end after, you know. Um, but yeah, hold my nigga Bruce Banner. Hold my nigga Bruce Banner though. Nigga finally got his life together, bro. Gets mind controlled and then loses control, man. Shit's some bullshit.
There's a lot to like about this movie, and we're gonna get into spoilers. I've been doing spoilers a lot, so here's your spoiler warning right now. Weep, 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 weep. That's me tickling on your spoiler nipples there. The reason it's getting compared to Spider-Man 2 so much is because of some similarities with what Tom Holland's Peter Parker is going through in this film, kind of mirroring what Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man went through in Sam Raimi's trilogy. In that, in here, he's dealing with a lot of emotional disconnection from his friends as a result of what happened in No Way Home, and it's weighing on his psyche so heavily. Years have gone by, and he has isolated himself because he is just he's feeling like he has to do everything alone to keep the people he cares about safe, and it is taking its toll on him. So he is really starting to succumb to that desperate need for human connection, but forcing himself to abstain. And now the spider part of him is starting to take over, and he's getting like these new power boosts that are also coming at the expense of like his normal humanity. And as such, he's even able to shoot organic webs now, which I fucking loved. I thought that was super hype, and I actually really like the way they explore this, because I thought after No Way Home they were going to take a really easy, safe path of like connecting Peter with his friends again. Like, oh, they forgot me, I wiped everyone's memories, but if I just go say, hey, it's me, Peter, and then wave at them, it'll jog their memory, like, oh, I love this guy, that kind of thing. And then MJ will fall in love with him again. Ned will be his best bro again, fucking butt chugging in the shower and all that. No, this movie doesn't do that. It goes in a much, like, it sticks to its guns. It does not just give Peter the easy way to reconnect. And
yeah, and that's why it feels so much more like a Spider-Man movie, because we, obviously we haven't seen him struggle in such a long time, except from No Way Home, with Green Goblin being his main adversary, which makes sense, right? But I just feel like the Jean Grey shit is still bothering me.
in fact, it is really holding its ground in that aspect, because there is a scene here where MJ is in trouble. I'm trying not to just spoil everything, by the way. I'm not just dumping everything here. So, like, this is spoilers, but within reason. I'm not just ruining the whole movie for you. MJ is in trouble when the main villain starts using her to really get under Peter's skin. And in an effort to keep her safe, he puts MJ with Frank Castle to protect her. Frank Castle actually had a pretty sizable role in this movie. I didn't expect the Punisher to be here in like a big way, but he is. I will say that this is a very neutered Punisher. I never actually
Definitely
finished the show, not because I didn't like it. It's just much like Daredevil. I don't know. I just dropped it somewhere along the way, even though I thought it was good. Eventually, I will go back and watch it, but this is a very different Punisher than you are probably expecting. And in fact, he's kind of used as like almost a like buddy cop dynamic with Spider-Man, where they're like bickering, and it actually feels like very comic book derivative, like their relationship. They have really good chemistry, and I thought, like, this is where most of the comedy of the movie comes from. I thought for the most part it did well without being obnoxious. I really did kind of like their relationship, even though this Punisher version is like Weenie Hut Jr. Punisher. Like, I didn't have a huge complaint there, but I think if you're like a big fan of the Punisher and the way John Bernthal in particular has been portraying him in the series, this might be like kind of not what you'd want to see for it, but I thought it worked well for the movie. So I don't have like a huge issue there. But anyway,
yeah, I mean, I don't really have a problem with Punisher, in the sense that you know, obviously we can't have the murderous Punisher that we usually get, in a Spider-Man movie, which I was never expecting. But I feel like, you know, this Punisher in particular has, stuck to what, the Punisher actually incorporates with, John. He has been a very good portrayal of the Punisher, and I feel like, the relationship that he has with Spidey, um, he's like Punisher in general is a lot tamer with Spider-Man than he is with Daredevil. So, you know, I will say, like, yeah, he was neutered in a sense, you feel me? Because we already know that, once Punisher get going, he get fucking murderous like really quick. But he tends not to do a lot of that stuff with Spider-Man. Because he doesn't want to traumatize the kid.
MJ is in this safe location with Frank and Spider-Man, and when Spider-Man leaves, she finds that note that Peter had written that kind of explains the whole situation, why she doesn't remember him. And she reads that note, learns that these two were, in love so deeply, so close, and what Peter did, the ultimate sacrifice to keep her safe. She reads that, and you think that this is going to be the moment where she's like, I remember everything. I love you, Peter. No. In fact, she's like, hey, that's just kind of not me. Like, that girl is not me. I don't have those memories. I don't know you. I've never met you. I don't have
Yikes.
any of these experiences with you. And like, and it's not in a cold way where she's being like some asshole about it. Like, it's a very understandable perspective. Like, this is a complete stranger that she only met hours ago. That apparently they had like a whole life together for, this whole history. She doesn't know any of it. So how is she all of a sudden just going to like reciprocate those feelings? And she's like really sympathizing with Peter about how hard that must be. But the truth is, she just doesn't fucking know you, bro. Like, and that's just the brass tacks. And it's not like a hopeless thing. The door is still left open for them to like, get close again and fall in love again, especially with the way the movie ends. Like, they very clearly plant that seed. But I do appreciate that they didn't just instantly, overwrite such a huge, weighty decision from the last movie that had such an emotional impact. I
Right.
think they explore it well. I think they really do a good job of looking at Peter Parker and like what this isolation, this self-imposed isolation is doing to him. And I think the first half of the film is the best part. Because the first half of the film, and again, this is why it gets compared so closely to like Sam Raimi's, is because it feels much more grounded as like the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He's fighting Scorpion. He's fighting the Hand, Tombstone. Granted, there's not like a ton of scenes with these characters, but it is cool to see it, and it feels very much like a comic book. I think visually it looks really, really good. I think there were some very creative shots when it comes to his action. I thought they fucking crushed that. So like the first half, I have no complaints at all. I thought it was very solid. But somewhere along the way, I think they started to lose their footing a little bit. And for me, I think the biggest symptom of that is their need to bring in Bruce Banner. Like, it makes
Yeah.
sense why Peter would go to him because he has the inhibitor and what he's going through. He wants to, like, pick his brain about how, like, can we use this technology for me kind of thing. But, of course, he doesn't, like, reveal that he's Spider-Man or anything. But that's how Bruce gets brought into it, and that's subsequently how Hulk gets brought into it. Because Hulkmania is running wild, brother. Hulk smash. They bring out Hulk where
Yes.
Spider-Man fights Hulk. And the Punisher also fights Hulk, which that was a little silly. The Punisher's bullets really packed an extra oomph where the Hulk was really bothered by him, even though the Hulk would just fucking one tap him, just insta-gib the Punisher there, which is, you got to suspend your disbelief a little bit there. But yeah, it felt like they brought in the Hulk just for the sake of bringing in the Hulk because that's a really
Right.
big draw. Like, who doesn't want to see Spider-Man fight the Hulk? I don't think it was like a really great excuse to bring him in, and I don't think it hit super hard, and he's dismissed very quickly and never mentioned again. He has like I'll say two and a half scenes, and one of them has just been all out fight with Spider-Man, which I think is a really good-looking scene. I think it's a very hype fight. But then afterwards, they just forget about him, which makes sense for the movie to not have him be like a central character in it. I get it. Like, why even bring him in the first place for it? Like, I feel like I just didn't love narratively how he played into it. I do like the fight though, so like I appreciate the fight. I think they did a good job there. And then the other thing
Yeah, the fight was really good.
like I'm
So
kind of
I'll give him
lukewarm on
that, but it
is
was no
Jean
point.
Grey. So Sadie Sink plays Jean Grey, and I think it's an interesting take on Jean, but I don't think all of it really lands. So
Thank you.
Jean in this movie, she has the ability
actually,
to
hold on,
that really lands. So
hold on, John.
I do like the fight though, so like I appreciate the fight.
Hold
I
on,
think they
hold
did a
on,
good
hold
job
on,
there.
hold on. Let me sit up.
And then the other thing that I'm kind of lukewarm on is Jean Grey. So Sadie Sink plays Jean Grey, and I think it's an interesting take on Jean,
Right.
but I don't think all of it really lands. So
Thank you.
Jean in this movie, she has the ability to possess people. And she has the ability to hop from person to person, and she's the major antagonist. How she's hopping around and trying to find information and trying to find something called VMAX, which she believes ties into her sister in some capacity with where she's been taken. Her sister and her share the same ability. And her sister was kidnapped by the Department of Damage Control to basically weaponize her. And that's the motivation behind Jean Grey going on this, like, rampage, so to speak. And I think all of that's fine. And I think the performance from Sadie Sink as Jean Grey is also solid. I just don't, like I said, I'm not trying to just ruin the entire movie. I don't really like how it ends with Jean Grey here.
Thank you.
Without getting too specific.
Fuck.
She goes into Peter Parker's mind, and she has this big, like come to Jesus moment. She gets to, basically talk with Aunt May, and Aunt May really touches her heart, which leads to like some big stuff happening. But why? She not too long ago also went into Frank Castle's mind, and Frank Castle's background, his lore, is extraordinarily sad and tugging on the heartstrings.
Right.
And Jean kind of makes it a joke like, ooh,
this guy's got some issues.
Dirty in here. You got some bad stuff that happened.
He got some demons.
So for all the loss he experienced and everything he went through, it's like gross stuff in here. Like, and kind of like making like a quick little quip about it. And she also goes into Bruce's head, which I would say is far like darker and a lot of like very emotional things that I think probably would have resonated with Jean. I mean, like, Bruce openly talked in a previous MCU movie about like how he's trying to kill himself and like everything that he's experienced, and he has experienced loss too. Like, she went into some like really like dark places. I would say Peter Parker's,
but then all of a sudden,
like, the top one there,
right. She went into all them dark places with the minds and stuff like that, right? But all of a sudden, she hops into Peter's mind, talks with Aunt May. All of a sudden, she got to change her heart. It's so odd, bro. Like, not only did you hop into Punisher's mind, where his whole family got slaughtered in front of him, right? You hopped into Bruce's mind, where he's a ticking time bomb, where anything sets him off and he goes on a rampage, freaking causing insurmountable damage, right? Like accidentally killing people, freaking blowing up everything, blowing up buildings, to a point where he literally had to live in isolation in a cave, right? But she saw all of that and was like, hey, whatever. But as soon as she hops in the freaking Peter's mind and talks to Aunt May, all of a sudden it starts clicking for her. Are you dead ass? Let's be serious.
One that for some reason hits home, where she like actually cared. And of course, like it does make sense for the narrative here, especially like with the speech Aunt May gives and how it like applies to what Jean's gone through. But like again, I feel like with some of the minds she had went through as well, probably would have been able to get something similar along the way there too, but she kind of just wrote them off as like jokes or like doesn't take them seriously. So I found that to be a little odd. Again, I'm not trying to like just spoil the ending or anything, which is why I'm still talking a little vaguely about it. Like I don't think Jean Grey was bad in this movie by any means. Like I do think it was a solid villain. I just don't really buy where it ends with her and how it really gets there at the finish line. Now, something that I find to be a big positive here, but I think a lot of people might view as a negative, is this movie does not feel like it is just fodder for the next MCU thing where it needs to feed so much into the next movie, like bleed everything over to the next movie. This movie really feels like very self-contained, which I really appreciate. That's so fucking refreshing where it doesn't feel like this is just going to be like another assignment in the MCU homework to catch up for the next MCU thing so you know where everything's left off in the canon. It is nice that this movie doesn't feel like it's constantly trying to like shove like these new plots that are going to be explored in later ones. Pretty much everything it introduces in here, it is tackling in here. Obviously, it does still set up for where things go later. Like that is
But
still
she's a
there.
fucking
But
child.
this movie doesn't feel like, oh, that thing that was there for a split second that wasn't fully explored is because it's going to be fully explored in the next thing. That's not really here, which is nice. But I know a lot of people do like that, and maybe you'll walk away from this thinking that the scale was like too small, like too contained, instead of like apocalyptic world-ending stakes, like a lot of MCU movies always love to throw in there. This one's much more localized. Like, yeah, Jean Grey could be like a world-ending threat, but she's really not in this movie. This is like a Jean Grey whose powers haven't been, you know, blown up to that level. Like she's still extraordinarily powerful, but all of the threat is localized to this region in which it takes place in New York, which is nice. It feels much more like street level for a good portion of the film. Obviously, it extends a little bit in scope past that. It does bring in the new Avengers in a small capacity, but nothing like big. Honestly, the inclusion of the new Avengers almost felt kind of cameo-y since it is such a small role and really it only serves for like a hot tub scene, like a little bath scene, and then another scene with like, so can you give me information on that? And it's like beep 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 beep. Beep. Yep, here's that information. Take care of it. So it's like, you know, is what it is. But like I said, all of this feels like it's all very much like Spider-Man street level New York, with the potential, should things go tits up, maybe it goes above there, you know?
Right.
But I like that it wasn't just crazy, outrageous, world-ending scale off rip like it has been so fucking often. So yeah, overall, I think it's a really good Spider-Man movie. I think they did cook here. I think they fucking crushed it. I don't think it's my favorite Spider-Man movie ever made, but I do really like it. I think it's a very, very strong film. There's a lot to like about it. And
Yeah.
if my theater's anything to go on, this movie might actually make $1 billion on its opening week, and shit was
Probably,
ballistic.
bro.
Anyway, though, movie was good. That's really about it. So, yeah.
See, look. You know, like I I'm really on the fence with this movie or whatever. I cannot glaze the movie how everybody else is glazing this shit or whatever. I really do not like the direction that they're going with the new mutants and stuff like that. We really do not have to age regress for the mutants to be interesting, right? We do not have to go through several different storylines because we didn't get to do those previously before in the MCU. Right. We have X-Men 97. That has been a hit so far. Like, we can just expand off what X-Men 97 doing in live action, right? But instead, we want to age regress all the characters so that we can go back to the storyline. So now X-Men can carry out for the next 20 years. And I don't really like that. So that's just me personally. I don't know how everybody else feels about that, but you know.